Once upon a time, 5 frogs were walking together through a dense forest. They were energetic, chatting happily, unaware that in just a few moments their lives would test their courage. Suddenly, 3 of the 5 frogs fell into a deep pit. The remaining 2 stood at the edge and looked down in shock. The pit was huge. The walls were steep and slippery. It didn't look easy to escape. Inside the pit, the 3 frogs immediately started jumping, trying with all their strength to climb out. They were desperate, determined, hopeful. But the 2 frogs standing above began shouting, "It's useless! This pit is too deep! You'll never make it out!" Hearing this, one of the frogs inside the pit began to doubt himself. He looked around at the steep walls and thought, "They're right, this is impossible." After a few more weak attempts, he gave up. He slowly moved to a corner and sat down. 2 frogs were still trying. They kept jumping, slipping, falling, trying again. The frogs above shouted louder, "Stop wasting your energy. You're going to spend your entire life in that pit." Hearing this constant negativity, the second frog inside started losing belief. His jumps became weaker, his spirit broke. Eventually, he also gave up. Now, only 1 frog remained. He kept jumping again and again and again. The frogs above couldn't understand it. "Can't you hear us?" they shouted. "2 have already given up. What makes you think you can succeed?" But the last frog kept trying. His focus was sharp, his determination stronger than ever. And then, with one final powerful leap, he jumped out of the pit. The other frogs were shocked. "How did you do it?" they asked. The answer? He was deaf. He couldn't hear a single negative word. He thought the frogs above were cheering him on. This story holds a powerful truth about life. Whenever you try to do something meaningful, start a business, wake up early, transform your body, chase a dream, voices will appear. Sometimes those voices are outside. Sometimes they are inside your own head. "You can't. You're not capable. This is too hard. People like you don't succeed." And if you listen long enough, you start believing. The first frog failed, not because the pit was too deep, but because he believed it was. The second frog failed, not because he lacked strength, but because he absorbed negativity. The third frog succeeded, not because he was stronger, but because he was untouched by doubt. Here's the brutal truth. People will talk when you do nothing. People will talk when you try something. People will talk when you succeed. So if they're going to talk anyway, why not succeed? In life, you don't need everyone's approval. You need your own conviction. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is become mentally deaf. Deaf to criticism that weakens you. Deaf to fear-based opinions. Deaf to small-minded thinking. Selective hearing is not ignorance, it is protection. Protect your dreams like that frog protected his focus, because success doesn't require everyone's belief, it requires yours. The pit in this story represents life's challenges, failure, financial struggles, health problems, career setbacks, rejections. At some point, everyone falls into a pit. The question is not whether you will fall. The question is, when you do fall, whose voice will you listen to? The world often reacts based on its own fears. People standing outside the pit can't feel your strength. They only see the difficulty. They measure your limits through their limitations. That's why many dreams die, not from lack of ability, but from excessive exposure to negativity. Think about it. How many times have you stopped yourself because of someone's comment? Business is risky. Government jobs are safer. You're not smart enough. You're too late. You're too young. You're too old. If you observe carefully, most limitations in your life started as someone else's opinion. But here's the empowering truth. Opinions are not reality. They are projections. The first 2 frogs accepted projection as reality. The third frog created his own reality. Now imagine if that frog could hear. Maybe he too would have quit. Which means sometimes your environment matters more than your talent.
If you constantly surround yourself with people who doubt you, your energy weakens. If you surround yourself with growth, belief, and discipline, your energy multiplies. This is why focus is a discipline. You must choose what enters your ears, what enters your mind, and what stays in your heart. Being deaf in life means not reacting emotionally to every comment, not adjusting your dream to fit someone else's comfort zone, not quitting because quitting seems socially acceptable. Remember this, most people who discourage you are not evil, they are afraid of failure, afraid of change, afraid of seeing you do what they didn't dare to attempt, so they pull you back, sometimes unconsciously. But your life is your responsibility. If you want extraordinary results, you must develop extraordinary mental strength. The frog that escaped didn't overthink, he didn't debate, he didn't argue. He acted consistently, and that consistency created momentum. Momentum creates breakthroughs, and breakthroughs silence doubters. The lesson is simple. You don't need to fight critics, you need to outgrow them. Focus on your jump every day, one jump at a time. Maybe today you slip, maybe tomorrow you fall again. But if you keep jumping, eventually persistence will win. One day you will climb out, not because the pit became smaller, but because you became stronger. So from today, be deaf to doubt, be blind to distraction, be obsessed with progress. Because the world does not reward the loudest voices, it rewards the one who kept jumping. And when you finally succeed, the same people who once said you can't will say, "We knew you could." Stay patient, stay grateful, and keep jumping.